Part 31. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 301. Guyao swept his eyes and found out who belonged to the Lingyun section. Although they did not wear uniform clothes, they all left the unique decorations of the Lingyun section. It was easy for other monks to identify when they came out and walked. Ordinary monks saw these large sect disciples will not shoot casually, otherwise they will be chased by major sects. Going out and walking in this way also represents a kind of identity. For example, these Fujindan cultivators are regarded as the Wu family with the nascent soul cultivator in charge. Bug Amber Dad. Guyao retracted his gaze, and went inside to see the situation of recruiting alchemy masters and talismans. If he made alchemy on the spot, he could also observe and learn from it, but Wu Ya's words later made him pause, and then always leave a ray of consciousness to pay attention to the situation of those people. Because Wu Ya pulled Wu Lan and turned around to greet another big brother, let's go in quickly. Chung. It was this surname that made Guyao slightly startled, resisting the urge to look back. Is it a coincidence or just met someone with the same last name? There are too many people with the surname Zhong in the world, and they are not necessarily related to Qi Changjai. It's just that he knew that Qi Changjai was originally surnamed Zhong, and his biological father had added half-siblings to him, and he came from Lingyun section. Guyao couldn't be regarded as an unrelated stranger, so he still paid attention to it secretly. Although Qi Changjai will personally ask for it back for the past, if it really does happen to him, he doesn't mind asking for some interest for Qi Changjai first. He is so careful. Guyao followed the crowd to the other side of the pill hall and glanced at it. It really needed to be assessed on the spot. There were already more than 20 pill masters sitting on the stage and setting up pill furnaces, ready to open the furnace for pill concocting. I'm happy to see this trip didn't come in vain. After all, it is Wanluo continent. Any city usually recruits alchemists, and more than 20 people come at once. This is only today. I don't know how many alchemists have come to participate in the assessment. Guyao found a place to sit down and looked intently. The one who was in charge of the assessment was a cultivator of nascent soul, who looked like an alchemist. He gave the order to start, and the 20 or so alchemists hurriedly ignited the fire. There was no formation isolation, and the temperature on the field immediately rose. Looking at the materials they prepared, Guyao could tell what kind of medicinal pill they were refining. With the pill pavilion here, it is estimated that no one has a better understanding of medicinal pills than him, except for seniors like Su Chen. He focused on using it a few times, thinking about how to use such materials for himself, and then compared the movements of the alchemists on the stage to see their control of the heat, the refining and extraction of materials, and the use of alchemy techniques. Looking at it extremely seriously, and leaving the situation around him behind, of course, does not mean that he is not alert. What kind of alchemy technique was used? I haven't seen it or seen any records in the alchemy pavilion. Su Chen said with contempt, do you think that the pill pavilion doesn't pick anything, and the things that are downgraded will also be included? Guyao twitched the corners of his mouth, not arguing with the senior, but silently wrote down the technique of the pill, and thought about it when he had time to see if there was anything unique. No, the alchemist in the blue robe is going to blow up the furnace. Guyao's voice just fell, and sure enough, there was a bang in the pill furnace in front of the alchemist. Fortunately, as soon as the sound rang, the formation on the stage was stirred up, and the movement did not affect other people. When the alchemist played, he saw the blue-robed alchemist beat his forehead angrily with his fist, and it was only the first time that the furnace was blown up. Fortunately, there were 3 chances. The blue-robed alchemist adjusted his breath for a while, and then continued the second round. Junior brother Wen is too nervous. It should be fine to play at his usual level. I don't know if it will affect the 2 furnaces behind him. What if they fail? Don't be afraid, junior brother Wen failed and I was there. I'm going to sign up for the battle. There was only one friar on the stage. Needless to say, the blue-robed alchemist was the one who was talking about it. Gu Yao glanced to the side. There were two monks, a man and a woman. The one who said they were not afraid of failure and signed up for the battle was the one. That female cultivator, listening to her voice, is an extremely refreshing person. The male cultivator added, Junior brother Wen definitely disagrees. The past was too dangerous. That's why senior brother Chiao has never heard back. That's why brother Wen wanted to use his identity as an alchemist to check. The female cultivator waved her hand and said, that's only for junior brother Wen to succeed. If you want me to tell you, junior brother Wen has lost his mind, and he has to learn alchemy techniques if he doesn't learn anything well. It took so long. Generally speaking, he also delayed his own practice. Don't hit junior brother Wen, you know, junior brother Wen is good at alchemy. The blue-robed alchemist started the second round again. The two kept their mouths shut and watched the movement on the stage with concern. Maybe it was the blue-robed alchemist who had a good luck. He narrowly passed the final battle. Seeing his relieved expression when he collected the pill, Gu Yao couldn't help bending the corners of his mouth. 3 times, it was enough for him to see the problem of this man. Of course, now, it's just a stranger, and he won't come up and say anything more. The male and female monks next to them also showed their excitement. The alchemist was selected, and they could bring 2 followers in, so they didn't have to think about anyway. Compared with the combatants, the alchemist who stayed behind should be safer. After watching the whole process, Gu Yao got up and left. He converged his breath to the golden core state. Otherwise, when nascent soul seldom appeared, it would be abrupt when a nascent soul cultivator ran over, making people pay attention, suspecting that he was holding for what purpose. When he came out, he happened to meet the pedestrian from the Wu family again. Gu Yao heard someone calling junior sister in front of him. Wu Lan, who had been expressionless, looked up because of this voice and saw a male monk waiting outside. At that time, his expression softened for a moment. He replied senior brother, and then he walked faster. This kind of change made Zhong Changan extremely unhappy. He was by Wu Yian's side for so long, and he didn't cause her expression to change. Wrong, but now because another man has changed, the unhappiness in his heart is showing through his eyes. Wu Ya said yeah, that's the young sect of Qianyuan sect, and also the elder sister's senior brother. I have always had a good relationship with my elder sister. I used to come to our Wu's house with my elder sister. For ordinary Qianyuan sect disciples, people from Lingyuan sect would definitely not recognize him, but this person could be recognized. After all, he was the son of the Qianyuan sect master and the future successor of the sect master. In terms of status, he was higher than the inner disciple of Lingyuan section. They all came well, and they have also appeared in the disciple competition held by Lingyuan sect several times. They have been praised by the elders of the sect, and they are naturally recognized at a glance. Senior brother, that sect master Ruan's is who and young master Ruan. I heard that you came out sooner when you were in retreat. The disciple of Lingyuan sect beside Zhong Changan said in a low voice, which made Zhong Changan even more unhappy. A few of them also came out, and Ruan's who had greeted his junior sister, greeted him, clasped his fists and said, Brother Zhong, Ziz who has lost his way, and brother Lao Zhong is taking care of my junior sister. When I first saw junior sister Wu, I felt like I'd known each other for a long time, so I came here to visit the head of the Wu family and my uncle and aunt. Zhong Changan replied with great demeanor. Disciple's graceful face. Even if Ruan's who is the young sect master of the Qianyuan sect, he is a member of the Lingyuan sect, and his father is expected to be a Yuanying cultivator who is expected to become an advanced god. No matter what, he is not inferior to this guy. Ruan's who didn't seem to understand what Zhong Changan meant, and said with a smile, junior sister doesn't come out often, so I heard that junior sister came out after I left the customs, and I rushed over without worry. If you are a newcomer, why don't you just let me be the host? Okay, then there's Brother Lauruan. Guyao watched their exchange of words for a while, and they all suffered for their teeth. This surname is really thick-skinned. It is clear that the relationship between the brothers and sisters is very good. The color of closeness, but this surnamed Zhong stepped in ignorantly. Taking advantage of this time, Guyao carefully looked at Zhong's appearance without any trace, and asked Su Chen in shock, "Senior, do you think this Zhong is the half-brother of brother yet? You can vaguely see some traces, isn't it really so coincidental?" Su Chen gloated over the misfortune and said that you were lucky. As soon as you came over, you ran into your lover's brother. Would you like to go over and recognize the family? I don't know if he is gloating at Guyao or at the surname Zhong. Guyao secretly cursed in his heart, recognize the door? Going up and beating is almost the same, what brother? Just like the enemy, Guyao only felt itchy fists. What should he do if he wanted to punch someone? Guyao carefully kept the Taoist consciousness on Zhang Zhanggan. It was inconvenient to do things in the city. When will he leave? This is his chance to start. Guyao will shake his hand and leave if he does a little trick. Look no further than this drama. He continued to stroll around the city and bought some spiritual herbs and medicinal herbs that were not common in Qinhao continent. He did not underestimate other alchemists. There would always be alchemists who would develop new medicinal herbs or improve on the original ones. Fang Lian's medicinal pills scattered a lot of spirit stones. Others guessed that he was an alchemist when they saw his appearance, and recommended him to try it at Luo Shengtang. Luo Shengtang's treatment for alchemists was very good, so it was able to attract so many alchemists to go to the assessment. Guyao smiled and didn't answer. If there were cultivators who had been paying attention to him, they would have found that he was not short of spirit stones. Of course, there is no shortage of such cultivators. After Guyao entered Kao, the people who followed him all the time showed up. Good guy, that cultivator doesn't show off his face, I didn't expect it to be a big fat sheep, and I don't know which family it belongs to. Or the son of Lillian sent out by the school, are you sure that no one is secretly following him to protect him? Another person said, no, I haven't seen anyone following, maybe I just can't stand being stared at, so I dumped the people who followed and protected it, which is convenient for us to do things, but a golden pill, and a few more us brothers can eat too. Okay, watch when he leaves the city, let's make a fortune. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 302. He looked like a son of an aristocratic family. He was born with fine skin and tender meat without suffering, so the two cultivators who were following them all felt that they had dumped the people they were secretly protecting and came out to play, because they couldn't stand the restraint. But they forgot that there is another situation, that is, they have absolute self-confidence and self-protection ability, so they will sprinkle so many spiritual stones outside without any scruples, and they are obviously not afraid of being targeted. Not to mention Guyao, even Su Chen in the space found that Guyao was being targeted, but no one mentioned that because these people are not enough for Guyao's fist to relieve the itch. In the next few days, Guyao was waiting for Zhong Changan to leave the city, and went to Luo Shengtang to watch a few alchemy tests. When they went out, they felt heartache again. They took all the spirit stones on Guyao's body as theirs. Zhong Changan and his party hadn't left yet, and Guyao planned to set off without waiting for them. It was more important to find Qi Changjai and uncle and their whereabouts than to find Zhong Changan for interest. Sensing that the two strands of spiritual consciousness that he had left behind were getting further and further away from him, needless to say, he left the city, so he also retreated from the inn room and went out of the city. Finally, I've had enough fun and I'm leaving. It really is a second-generation ancestor who doesn't know the heights of the sky, bah. What's the use other than wasting spirit stones? There are haters of the rich everywhere, and Guyao doesn't mean to be restrained at all, but they are jealous, and they notify the other people in the city, and they hang behind them from a distance, and they can start when they reach a remote place outside the city. When he left the city, Guyao released a flying instrument. It was cloud-shaped and could be big or small. When there was only one person, it was like lying on a cotton ball. It was very comfortable. It's like any other cloud in the sky, except maybe it's flying a little faster. This cloud magic weapon was refined by Tianfirong. Compared with other flying magic tools, it was only better in speed. It was very popular with Guyao and several people, so everyone was equipped with one. Guyao also called the cat out to breathe, and beside him there was a large sea swirling in the wind, and the scenery both in the distance and in the vicinity were excellent. The people behind you are following, aren't you worried? Su Chen occasionally floated out to take a look. Seeing Guyao's unwillingness to sit even if he could lie down, he deeply felt that Guyao was brought down by his uncle. Now, Yin Hua's temperament in private is indescribable. If you let Guyao know Su Chen's true thoughts, he will tell him sincerely, don't talk about the second brother, he is surrounded by people with different appearances. Guyao's consciousness swiped at random, oh, there are 2 cultivators who have achieved great success in golden elixir, and 7 or 8 golden elixir, no wonder he is so eager to come out to rob him, this golden elixir cultivator, this battle may seem a little bit. It's overkill. This kind of Jindan cultivator, Guyao, was not interested in taking any action anymore. He beckoned the cat to come over, and after muttering to it for a while, the cat meowed twice, and then flew out with one paw, pulling the sea. They also disappeared together. A white cloud flew leisurely in the sky, and in a deep mountain below where monsters were scattered, a terrifying cry suddenly sounded, and countless birds and beasts flew away. Guyao was still interested and glanced down a few times, only to see a few black dots falling from the sky, slamming into the forest, causing the beasts to roar again and again, while the cat cubs flew triumphantly against the wind-blowing sea. Came back. It just listened to the master, and asked the kelp brother to tie up those bastards, and specially chose a place to drop them so that they could enjoy it. The monks of Lingyunzang and Qinyuanzang, who were also on the road, were resting on the way, and suddenly heard the screams of monks behind them. They looked back in doubt to see if there were monks calling. Zhong Changan said disdainfully, it's just some monks who are beyond their own power. If they have to go to dangerous places, they are probably loose cultivators. Junior Sister Wu, don't worry, those monsters, when encountering sect disciples like us, they are the only ones. Run away. Zhong Changan looked like a protector, but he failed to win Wu Yian's favor. Ruanzis who didn't speak. Although the junior sister came out to walk less often, the fighting power of the Binglingan cultivator was not weak, and the junior sister did not need the protection of others. However, Wu Ya looked moved. Brother Zhong, you are so amazing. The famous disciples are different. Fortunately, Brother Zhong protects you along the way. I don't dare to come out if I don't dare to be a younger sister. Because half a year later, it will be the trials of Lingyunzang, so Buletinya told her parents to come out with her. This appearance immediately aroused Zhong Changhan's desire for protection, and the unpleasantness just because of Wu Lan disappeared. Wu Lan didn't respond to these things, or he didn't care at all, but Ruanzizhu and the disciples of Qianyuan sect who came with them frowned secretly, not to mention that this surnamed Zhong was unpleasant, she was Yu Yian's younger sister. It's too obvious what the idea was. If it wasn't for her being Wu Yian's younger sister, their disciples wouldn't have been able to take care of her. Instead, she surrounded Zhong Changha everywhere, causing people's impression of her to fall. Junior sister Wu, Zhong Changan found a chance to get along with Wu Lan alone, and made it clear, I fell in love with junior sister Wu at first sight. Goodbye is unforgettable, when I return to the sect, I will report to my father immediately, and let my father propose marriage to Qianyuanzang for me. Although Ling Huan and Wu Ya are flattering, there is no doubt that forming a Taoist companion with Du Lan will help him even more. In addition to Lang Ian's spiritual roots in double cultivation, he can get greater benefits. In addition, there is an ice spirit. Root's Taoist companion can also give him a higher status in Lingyuan sect. Although there is a Yuanying father behind him who is expected to transform into a god, he did not expect that the woman would come back one day, and she also broke through to become a Yuanying cultivator. As soon as he came back, he fell out with his father, and he targeted him everywhere, suspecting her son's disappearance has something to do with him, although there is no conclusive evidence, but it has also made his years far less happy than before. If you become a Taoist partner with Wu Lan, such a situation will be solved easily. What kind of a stinky woman is she who dares to find him unhappy? As for Wu Ya, when he becomes a Taoist partner with Wu Lan, he will take her as a concubine. Now, there are several concubines around him, and it doesn't matter if there is one more Wu Ya. Wu Lan raised her delicate brows rarely. She never agreed to Zhong Changhan's pursuit, so why did she jump to proposing marriage? Why do you fall in love with me? I only have the Dao in my heart, and I won't form a Dao partner with anyone. In her opinion, this will only hinder her from pursuing the Dao, especially for someone with an impure heart like Zhong Changhan. Not in her choice. How can you and I join forces to prevent you from pursuing the Dao? This will only make our road a little smoother. Zhong Changha was excited. You and I have formed a Daoist partner, and the resources of Lingyuan sect can also be open to us. Wouldn't it be better than staying in Jianyuan sect? If you want to step into God transformation, Jianyuan sect will not help you. As he said that, he reached out to grab Wu Yan's arm. Wu Ya's touch made her finally bear it, not to mention a strange man. She didn't include Zhong Changhan as an acquaintance, so she didn't even think about it. He waved his hand and attacked, instantly freezing Zhong Changhan's arm. While Zhong Changhan was using his spiritual power to resolve it, his face turned purple. What a woman who doesn't know what to do. Do you really think he has to be blue? There are many female disciples in Lingyuan sect for him to choose. But the more this is the case, the more he wants to tear off Wu Yan's arrogant face, see her let him take whatever he wants, and said coldly, "Okay, okay. If you dare to refuse my proposal, then I will see if Ling Yunzong proposes to Qin Yuanzong. Marriage, does Qin Yuanzong have the same ambition as you to refuse? You just wait to marry into my Ling Yunzong extension family." Putting down the harsh words, Zhong Changhan turned around and left. When Ruanzhu found the junior sister, she found that her face was even colder, and the grass and trees around her were frozen with a layer of frost. She was shocked and asked the junior sister, "What happened? Who annoyed you?" Wu Lan said bluntly, "Senior brother, I don't want to go with the surnamed Zhong, let's leave alone." Ruanzhu said in his heart that he was afraid that what the surnamed Zhong said would upset his junior sister, and he also did not want his junior sister to be attached to this guy, so he said to his junior sister, "Okay, let's go alone, senior brother will tell me to do it now." Yuanzong's disciple Gu Yuanyuan hangs behind him, not knowing what happened to the pedestrian, but seeing the result, it is divided into two paths, and he can't help but raise his eyebrows. As I flew closer, I could see Zhong Changhan's frantic appearance, but it was strange that Wu Ya from the Wu family didn't go with her sister, but stayed by Zhong Changhan's side. Gu Yao couldn't understand this brain circuit, but it was more convenient for him to do things without a group of people. Zhong Changhan was furious. No woman had ever made him so frustrated. Just because of his status as a disciple of Lingyuan sect, he had never been swayed by a disciple of any affiliated section. If this matter was passed back to the sect, he would be laughed at. Woolen cloth. When Zhong Changhan got angry, all the flowers and plants around him suffered. The angry Zhong Changhan, Wu Ya did not dare to approach him, but he was proud of himself. Without her sister, it would not be convenient for her to act. When the pressure around Zhong Changhan's body was lowered, she dared to hug Zhong Chang'an from behind. Zhong Chang'an looked back and saw that it was her, with a somewhat blue appearance, but looked at him affectionately. The remaining hostility in his heart, so he vented all of it on Wu Ya, pushed her to the ground, and tossed her hard as Bulletin Lan. Gu Yao was stunned again. Just in the open air, a pair of dogs and men rolled up like this, and the other disciples of Lingyun sect were still protecting the law for them, preventing the monsters around them from taking good things. Like things gather together, people are divided into groups. How much difference can the temperament of those who can follow Zhong Changhan's side differ from him? Gu Yao thought it was too harsh to see, so he withdrew his consciousness and didn't look at it for the time being, until they were over before taking action. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 303. The cultivator's stamina is not weak. This has been rolling for a long time. Gu Yao waited until he yawned, and it finally ended. Although Zhong Chang'an asked Wu Ya out of rage, but since it was his own woman, he certainly wouldn't throw it away, and while touching Wu Yaguang's naked body, he said, "Follow me back to Lingyun sect, and you will be my wife is gone, and I will send a letter to the Wu family to explain the matter." Wu Ya is satisfied and her eyes are charming. This result is much better than staying at Wu's house in Changyuan City. She cuddled in Zhong Changhan's arms and said softly, "Yater knows that big brother Zhong can't forget her sister, and Yater has a way to help Zhong." Big brother got his wish. Zhong Chang'an raised his eyebrows, the movements in his hands quickened. Wu Yajiao panted and said, "I sprinkled mirage powder on my sister, and I can use mirage butterfly to catch up with her. My sister's temper is too arrogant, but as long as Zhong big brother broke my sister's Yuan Yin, and my sister will definitely give up on big brother Zhong, that's when I." Zhong Chang'an thought for a while. It was true, he took Wu Yan's Yuan Yin, wouldn't she still bow her head? At that time, it wasn't that he was begging Wu Lan, but Wu Lan was begging him, and he suddenly settled down and threw the woman in his arms. "As long as I am satisfied with my brother will naturally not forget the benefits of sister Yater haha." Gu Yao was still waiting for the end, but he didn't expect to roll up again. With really hot eyes, he sat on the cloud and held his chin and said, "Is this the end?" Gu Yao didn't look for his spiritual sense to listen to it, but Su Chen routinely read from the beginning to the end, including the conversation between the two, and said with emotion, "This girl is also a ruthless girl. She actually wants to send her own sister. Go to that kid's bed, Gu Yao. Look at the surname. Zhong's character is so bad, the Chi kid who has the same half of his blood as his body, maybe how bad he is behind his back, maybe he will hug him right now already." Gu Yao was stunned when he heard it, but he didn't expect that. He didn't look at it because he was too hot to look at it, and there was such a scene. "But the more I listened later, the more outrageous I became, and I got angry. Bah! One surname is Zhong and the other is Chi. What's the difference? This surname Zhong is just as bad as his father, rotten to the core. He is also worthy of brother yet. Compare. Well, when it comes to Chi Changjai, Gu Yao has lost his mind." Su Chen rolled his eyes and thought. Gu Yao looked down sullenly, and he didn't think it was too hot. How could he charge the interest? Thoughts flashed in Gu Yao's mind one after another. For example, isn't he a strong man? Why don't he stun him and throw him into a man-style building in which town, so that he can taste the taste of a small herd? Or send it to the Spring Breeze building, which is good for harvesting the yang and replenishing the yin, so that people can take care of it? He thought so and said so, and Su Chen trembled when he heard it. It turned out that such a pure and innocent boy could have such a bad side, but then, Su Chen actually discussed with him. Su Chen thought that it would be more interesting to send him to the men's style building. It would be better to find a man-style building with more tricks for him. Maybe this kid will be able to take this one from now on, and he will save some female monks. This time, it was Guyao's turn to tremble with aversion to the cold, thinking in his heart that the pure-hearted person was full of bad water. Although Guyao felt a chill in his heart, he was not weak, so he did what he said, let the cat cubs join forces with the sea belt to stun the guys below, and then the sea belt tied them to the next town. When he was in Changyuan City, Guyao bought a map that was as complete as possible. At this time, it was not far from the place where the monks lived, and it was a market town that was not as large as Changyuan City. The management is not as strict as Changyuan City, so Guyao easily brought in a few people who were bundled in a group, and threw the others into an inn. After inquiring about the specific situation, he bought a few monks with spirit stones. Let them send Zhong Changan to a spring breeze building in the town. Doing business in this kind of building is often consensual. Although it is said that the yang is used to supplement the yin, it will not be too much. As for the extent to which Zhong Changan will be recruited, Guyao clapped his hands and left the town. But asked. When he entered the town and left the town, he changed his face again, and would not leave his true appearance. Afterwards, Zhong Changan would definitely investigate, but he had run away long ago. A few days later, this market town was agitated, and Guyao, who was getting closer and closer to the realm of the Lingyun sect master, touched his chin and said, I don't know if it counts as a lesson to that guy, I think he might have fallen into the nest of blessings. Sorry? I just said I'd send it to the men's style building, Su Chen sneered. Guyao sighed and sighed for a while, seeing the city in front of him approaching, put away the cloud magic weapon and flew down. This city of Lingyunzong should be able to find out more news. In another place, Wu Lan finally discovered the magic powder on her body. Isn't it accidental, Ruanzhu said uncertainly. No, I know who did it. Wu Lan couldn't see any emotion on her face, but she felt unhappy. She knew who raised the phantom butterfly, and that was Wu Ya. A good-looking spirit worm, Wu Lan would not waste energy and time on it, but Wu Ya was different. She didn't know what Wu Ya wanted to use the magic powder on her body, but she would rather stay by Zhong Changhan's side than leave with her, and Lang Yian's affection for her became weaker and weaker. Fortunately, I found it, it'll be fine if I get rid of it. I have to be more careful in the future. Ruanzhu, who also had suspicions in his heart. If he wanted to avoid the discovery of the junior sister, unless it was someone who was very close to the junior sister, only Wu Ya had this opportunity along the way. Well, let's go. As soon as he entered Lingchuan City and hadn't settled down, Guyao heard an explosive news that made his heart pound. A grandson of an elder of Lingyun sect who was transformed into a was injured by 2 foreign monks. The elder's son released a reward order to arrest the monk who injured his son. Got this bounty. At first, Guyao just listened to other people's descriptions, and he had a bad premonition in his heart, and then quickly found the place where the reward order was placed, and saw 2 people and 1 spider projected. It was not his uncle and the old demon too. People, and the spiders around the old demon. Fortunately, they had already escaped before Lingyunzong arrested him, otherwise the reward order would not have been hung. Guyao was busy asking people how the cultivator who had been offered a bounty came to provoke Wang Yuzhu, the grandson of the elder who was said to be the of transformation. Concealing the worries in his heart, Guyao pretended to be curious. Could it be that these 2 monks don't know Wang Yuzhu's identity? How could they provoke him and hurt him? The monk next to him pretended to be mysterious and said, actually, who doesn't know what this surnamed Wang is? I think the Taoist friend just came from outside. I don't know what's going on inside. This Wang Yuzhu is a guy who takes all men and women. Looking at the appearance of one of the male cultivators on the reward order, you can see what's going on. He must have been attracted by the surname Wang and was unwilling to obey him, so he had to hurt someone and run away. But because of the cultivator's good looks, he was targeted by the surnamed Wang. Unless he escaped far, or because of his identity as the grandfather of the god-turning elder, in the Lingyuan sect, people will sooner or later be surnamed Wang. To find out. Gu Yao thanked him and left in a bad mood. He found a place to settle down first, and he was a member of the Lingyuan section. He was going to have a bad feeling for this section everywhere he went. There were people who were bullying others. Didn't kill that lustful thing? Fortunately, my uncle is staying with the old demon of the spider now. My uncle has a way to cover up his appearance, and the old demon is not weak. As long as the elder of the gods does not take action personally, there will always be a way for the two to escape when they stay together. At this point, Gu Yao still had confidence in the strength of the sky spider old demon. Gu Yao gritted his teeth, although he knew that his uncle would be fine for the time being, but he was in such a bad mood. He said to Su Chen, "Don't let this guy fall into my hands, otherwise I'll have to get him into the male-style building, and also put him his cultivation base is abolished, and he will never be able to leave the male-style building for the rest of his life." Su Chen knew that Gu Yao was in a bad mood right now, so he didn't talk about the flowers that made him angry, and agreed, "I support you, and this time I will send it to the male-style building. I'm going to give him a poisonous mute." "Okay." The limbs were also interrupted. "Okay." To completely abolish his third leg. After torturing the surnamed Wang severely in his mind, Gu Yao breathed a sigh of relief, calmed down, and continued to inquire about relevant news. It was also at this time that he remembered to take out the specially refined messenger. This is also one of the means to prevent everyone from being separated. Gu Yao frowned. The range of the messenger that can be contacted is limited. As before, none of them are sensing within the range. But this should be considered a good thing. It shows that the uncle is far enough away. Maybe they are all out of the Lingyuan sect's territory, so the surnamed Wang can't even try to find out the uncle. Sitting in the tea house, he asked for a pot of spirit tea and some fruit snacks, and he drank it slowly without any mood. When I heard it, the people in the private room next door were all disciples of Lingyuan section. They came here because of Wang Yuzhu's injury, to arrest the monk who had been offered a reward. The cultivators were also in a bad mood, and one of them said angrily, "The cultivators outside don't say anything, but in private no one is laughing at our Lingyuan section. Lingyuanzong's face will be lost by the surnamed Wang, and he still wants to let it go. Let's run out and arrest people. Senior sister, please say a few words." Whoever made the surname Wang is the grandson of the elder Wang. The people in the sect don't look at Wang Yuzhu's face, but look at the elder Wang. Besides, we came out and returned, and we didn't see it. They said that they must be found, but Wang Yuzhu was guarded by the Yuanying cultivator at the time, but the Yuanying was also injured. If you want me to say that Wang Yuzhu really ate the guts of a bear's heart and a leopard, I heard that the two monks are not weak, both of them are Yuanying. One may be Yuanying who has become a master. He dares to attack such a person. If you let it go, won't it be the day when you will kill the nascent soul disciples of our sect? Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 304. Do you know why Master Wang released a reward order without hesitation this time? A voice with a smile said. Stand up. Senior brother Tang, is there something else in this matter? This made Gu Yao also curious. What did the uncle do? Of course, in his opinion, he was lucky that his uncle didn't kill the surnamed Wang. There was still a playful smile in Tang Xiu's voice. Uncle Wang only said that Wang Yuzhu was injured, but he did not say where the injury was. Could it be that, you hurt that terrifying place? A cultivator's heart flashed and he blurted out, and the other cultivators also realized what it meant. It couldn't be the case, right? Haha, you guessed it right. I heard that it's more serious. Those two monks got poison from nowhere, and they poured it into the deadly place. A 6th grade alchemist hired by Uncle Wang was helpless, but he didn't make Uncle Wang angry. You can understand anything you do in anger. Puff puff.
There were several bursts of laughter in the private room, and this laughter eased the unpleasant atmosphere between them. Guyao and Su Chen were stunned when they heard it together, and then Guyao slumped his stomach and laughed silently on the seat. Good. Uncle did a great job. Better to destroy it completely. On the Qinhao continent, my uncle scavenged many poisons from him, including the poison extracted from the venom of the sky spider. If you want to completely detoxify it, Guyao dares to say that ordinary 6th grade alchemists may not be able to do it. Besides, as soon as the poison is dragged on, that thing will definitely be poisoned. Even if the poison is removed, you will have to rely on the limb-sustaining pill to make the thing grow again. Will not be tossed in half. The atmosphere next door relaxed, and he continued to gossip about all kinds of things inside the door. Guyao did not take back his consciousness. He felt that the identity of the surname Tang should not be low. The person surnamed Wang is not a good thing, and the person surnamed Zhong is also embarrassed by him. The reputation of our Lingyun sect will be ruined by this kind of scum. By the way, senior brother Tang, it is said in the sect that senior brother Changjai disappeared when he was surnamed. Zhong's scheming framed it. Can senior brother Chang Ye come back? I really can't see such a villain being arrogant. Guyao stopped laughing, his expression became serious, and he lowered his head and drank tea while not letting go of the little news on the other side. I heard that when Uncle Chi came back, he had a fight with Uncle Zhong. The saying that the surnamed Zhong killed senior brother Changjai. Some people say that it was originally from Uncle Chi. Senior brother Tang sighed, that guy has high talent and is highly valued by the family. Some people will inevitably regard him as a thorn in their eyes, and Shishichi will attack him as soon as he is away. But that guy's soul card is not broken. Maybe I'm also stuck in the same place as Master Chi, and I don't know when he will come back. When that guy appears, some people will naturally show their true colors. I really don't understand Shishizhong, and I don't care about senior brother Changye who is so talented. Instead, he treats that hypocritical and shameless guy as a treasure. Shishichi was blind at the beginning, so he became a Taoist partner with Shishizhong. Forget it, we the younger generation can explain these things clearly. I'm looking forward to this guy from Changjai coming back soon. According to his talent, he might be senior Uncle Yuanying now. In the end, it was the voice of senior brother Tang. Guyao heard his tone and seemed to have a good relationship with Chi Changjai, but when Chi Changjai was with him, he mentioned his mother and the suzerain the most. He is devoted to cultivation and has no distractions, so it is boring to mention other things. The discussion of these cultivators made Guyao recover his impression of Ling Yunzong a little. Another thing that reassured him was that, as expected by Brother Ye, his mother came back and became a cultivator of nascent soul, otherwise he would not respected by the uncle. Thinking of Kai's mother, Guyao actually felt a little homeless and timid. I don't know if I should sneak into the Lingyun sect and send the news of Chi Changjai's safety first. Fortunately, Chi Changjai's soul card is still in the section. It's enough to show that Chi Changjai himself has no worries about his life. After drinking the tasteless tea, Guyao left the tea house. When he came out, he happened to meet the people in the private room next door. Guyao secretly paid attention to their appearance and left in front of them. Guyao walked on the front foot, and the senior brother Tang on the back looked at the back of Guyao's departure and touched his chin. The junior sister next to him reminded him, "Why didn't you leave? Is there something wrong with the monk just now?" Brother Tang returned to his senses and smiled and said, "Don't you realize that the cultivator just now looks a bit like the cultivator we are looking for, but it is definitely not that person. His appearance, age, and bearing are not the same, and people all over the world have similar appearances. There are too many." "That's right, and isn't there a demon cultivator beside that person?" "There's a celestial spider beside the demon cultivator. The characteristics are too obvious. This cultivator is no more than Jindan." Senior brother Tang shook his head and smiled and said, "Let's go, let's go out for a spin, and then go back and hand in the task. If there are two other nascent souls, how can we have a few Jindans to deal with? That's right, it's made clear that we don't treat us as human beings, some people said angrily. If they were really ruthless, wouldn't they be delivering food to people's door? Guyao didn't pay attention to the conversations of the following people. Now walking on Wanluo continent, he doesn't have the scruples he had when he first arrived in Qinhao continent, so he didn't cover up his appearance, except when doing small actions, and this picture. The face is also easy for other people to identify. Senior brother Tang and the others searched around at will, only waiting for the time to return to the sect to hand in the task, and listen to senior brother Tang's inner story. After the behind-the-scenes news, they regarded it as a play. Tang Wenyu suddenly stopped and took out his messenger. Someone sent a message. After reading it, he was stunned, and then burst into laughter on the spot. His stomach hurt from laughing. The brothers and sisters twitched the corners of their mouths. Before the senior brother laughed, could you share it with them so that they would be happy too? Senior brother Tang, what happened to make brother so happy? Tang Wenyu exaggeratedly wiped the tears from his laughter. Zhong's surname, Zhong Changan, was sent out to look for someone, and found that he was thrown into the Spring Breeze building. Haha, it is said that the surname Zhong was not lightly harvested. And it was picked up by several people. Haha, no one would know about it at first, but a colleague just happened to check it there, and found that the surnamed Zhong was making a fuss in the Spring Wind building. Haha. Tang Wenyu covered his stomach exaggeratedly again and kept laughing. Is this telling the wicked to have their own wicked grind? I didn't expect that these two guys who were in a state of embarrassment would have bad luck one after another. It's so funny, haha. Guyao did not expect that the surnamed Zhong would be picked so ruthlessly. When the disciples of Lingyun sect who he had left in the inn woke up, they searched everywhere but couldn't find them. Finally, they found them in the Spring Breeze building. Zhong Changan, who was all weak, suddenly made a fuss and almost demolished the entire Spring Breeze building. They had to make a fuss, otherwise they would not be able to explain to Uncle Zhong when they went back. Even senior brother Zhong had a hard time here, so they wanted to make a bigger fuss. As a result, they were discovered by other classmates who passed by here. The news that Zhong Changan was recruited and supplemented immediately spread, and those fellow students were very enthusiastic to Zhong Changan, who had soft legs and soft feet, back to the sect. Zhong Changan hated the idea of killing people. He wanted to silence the town and all his fellow students. When did he lose such a big face? As for Wu Ya's plan to calculate Wu Lan, he didn't have the energy to implement it. Those fellow gatekeepers, Zhong Changan, sent them back to the section. They patted their buttocks as soon as they sent them off to Uncle Zhong. They didn't pay for doing good deeds. On the same day, many disciples from the sect were attracted to watch Zhong Changhan's appearance. This incident was widely circulated in the section. It is hard to say whether there was a push from Uncle Chi behind the scenes, but most of the people who watched the fun took part. Zhong Zheyu first interrogated the people around Zhong Changan, but none of them knew who was plotting against them. All they knew was that they suddenly passed out and didn't even see the people who plotted against them. When they woke up, they were in the inn in the market town. Inside, several people woke up at about the same time. It seems that the other party has calculated the amount of medicine. An angry face Zhong Zheyu walked into his son's room. The concubine on the side was crying miserably. Zhong Changha was lying on the bed. How could the recovered essence be so easy to make up, unless he took targeted drugs? Elixir. Husband, you have to avenge Honor. This thief doesn't take husband and Ling Yunzong in his eyes at all. Shut up, Zhong Zheyu scolded. He felt ashamed, or else he would go to hunt for and harm the person whose son was recruited. That would make the world even more aware. Father. Zhong Changhan's face was pale and pale, looking extremely pitiful. Zhong Zheyu said with a headache, This matter can only be investigated secretly. I will go to senior brother Yin to ask for a few pills for honor. During this time, I will stay in the sect, replenish my vitality, and stop running around. And don't mix with your concubines. Zhongzheyu hates iron not turning into steel. As far as he knows, before being thrown into the Spring Breeze Tower, the girl who came with this kid leaked a lot of essence from her body, plus she was harvested. This is good, the situation more serious. Thank you, Dad, for letting Dad worry about me. What can Zhong Changan say? Although he can't wait to find the person who calculated him to peel and cramp, the most unbearable thing for him is the humiliation of being forcibly harvested, but in the current situation he can only rely on his father. When he recovers, Zhongzheyu left this mountain and went to senior brother Yin to ask him to refine the furnace and replenish the essence pills. Unfortunately, he happened to meet Qi Xian, who also came to ask for pills, and chatted with senior brother Yin at senior brother Yin's place. Zhongzheyu saw that. Qi Xian casts a sneering look, really want to turn around and leave. Junior sister Xian. Qi Xian's face suddenly turned cold. No, I can't afford it, please call me junior sister Qi or fellow deist Qi. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 305. Qi Xian didn't bother to look at Zhongzheyu's complicated expression, so he told senior brother Yin not to turn around and leave. Wait, Shenzheyu called out. Qi Xian turned her back to the person and said displeasedly, I said, unless Chang Ye can come back, I will see you fight once. Why? Do you want to fight directly with senior brother Yin? No, I want to ask Changan. What does that evil seed have to do with me? I don't mind killing him first if it bothers me again. Humph, Qi Xian said and walked away. When I was trapped in a dangerous place, I got a lot of opportunities. After successfully condensing the infant, the cultivation base did not stop growing. Once I returned to the sect, it was the middle stage of nascent soul. That is to say, Zhongzheyu did not completely dominate the fight between the two. When Qi Xian slammed on the door for the first time, Zhongzheyu was caught off guard, and was blasted to the ground by a series of spiritual talismans. The monks, who knew the grievances and entanglements between them, watched a lot of fun. Since then, when Qi Xian saw Zhongzheyu, as long as he can do it, he will never force it. Zhongzheyu withdrew his hand. He just wanted to ask if Qi Xian did something behind his back to let the story of Chang Han spread in the sect, and wanted to tell Qi Xian why she, an elder, should be so embarrassing to a junior, and it was lost in vain. But Qi Xian, as always, did not give him a chance to speak. Let senior brother Yin see a joke, Zhongzheyu said embarrassedly to alchemist Yin, who didn't speak. His relationship with Qi Xian and senior brother Yin was not bad before. He used to form a team to go out for training together, but then each had his own way to go, and the relationship gradually faded. Alchemist Yin glanced at him lightly. Compared with the chatter with Qi Xian, his attitude towards him was much colder. What's the matter? I'm bothering senior brother to help the unscrupulous son of junior brother refine the furnace pill. This is the spirit grass and reward that junior brother has prepared. Zhongzheyu hurriedly brought the prepared storage bag. Wait, I'll let the boy send it over after I've finished it. Alchemist Yin turned around and went to the pill room after receiving the things. Senior brother Yin. Zhongzheyu left another voice. Alchemist Yin turned back and still looked at him lightly. Is there anything else, junior brother Zhong? Brother Yin, Shenzheyu wanted to ask if brother Yin also stood by Chibo and watched his jokes, but he made a mistake. What? At the beginning, he was congealed, and Qi Xian had no signs of breaking through. Is it wrong for him to take a concubine? How many nascent soul cultivators have been guarding Jindan cultivators for the rest of their lives? Moreover, he disappeared unexpectedly in Changye. How did he decide that it was Chang Han's hands and feet? Framed for no reason. But seeing the coldness in senior brother Yin's eyes, Zhongzheyu swallowed the words again. It's alright, senior brother Yin has something to do. When alchemist Yin turned around and got into the pill room, Zhongzheyu was bored and had to leave. There are other disciples on this mountain, who see the scene from a distance, pointing and talking in a low voice. Accidents happened one by one. It just made Uncle Yin tired. I was just invited by Uncle Wang to see the injury. Now Uncle Zhong has come to ask for pills again, and he can't be idle for a moment. The one who left before was Uncle Qi. Uncle Qi is beautiful and strong. Uncle Zhong actually has such a Taoist companion and wants to take a concubine. The relationship between the Taoists has been lifted, and I heard that senior brother Chang Ye will also be late with the surname of senior Uncle Qi. That's good. Anyway, Uncle Zhong has no shortage of sons. When Uncle Qi didn't come back, I didn't see how much Uncle Zhong took care of senior brother Chang Ye. After Zhongzheyu left senior brother Yin, he went to Wang Yuzhu's place. Outsiders only saw his scenery. How could they know the hardships behind him? Nascent soul cultivator is fine in other sects, but in Lingyuan sect, if there is no God transformation cultivator as the backstage, and it is difficult to stand out, let alone have the opportunity to transform into a god, so Zhongzheyu followed the path of Elder Wang. At this time, something happened to Wang Yuzhu, and he couldn't help but be concerned. As soon as Zhongzheyu arrived outside the cave, he heard the screams of pain and Wang's father's angry voice. Zhongzheyu thought of Wang Yuzhu's miserable situation, and suddenly felt that Chang Han's condition was not bad. Making up for it doesn't count as damaging the foundation, but it's hard to say about Wang Yuzhu. Brother Wang, hasn't Yuzhu's symptoms eased yet? Zhongzheyu asked with concern after entering. Father Wang was tortured until his stubble came out. When he saw it was Zhongzheyu, he said with an ugly face, I have invited several alchemists to say that the current detoxification pill is not symptomatic, and we have to study it. Oh, when they study it, my son's life is at risk. The opening is to study. I think they are either poor or want to watch my son die. Zhongzheyu didn't dare to scold the poor level of the alchemists in the door. He didn't have such a hard background as Father Wang, otherwise he would never want to ask for medicinal pills in their hands in the future. He looked anxious. How can this be good? Why don't you ask Elder Wang to come forward? Father Wang hesitated for a while, because his father didn't like Yuzhu's behavior, so he asked him to watch before retreating, and asked Yuzhu to act more restrained. At this time, if he wanted to call his father out of the prison, he was afraid that he would be punished. Scolded, annoyed his father. He stomped his feet and said irritably, forget it, I'll be cheeky and go to the sect master, and junior brother Zhong will wait a moment. Father Wang flew away after speaking, and Zhongzheyu's eyes showed a trace of envy. At his level, the sect master didn't want to see it, but Father Wang was different, because they had an elder of the gods as the backstage. When will he be able to transform into a god? Then no one in the Lingyuan sect will feel that there is anything wrong with his previous approach. When he transforms into a spirit, the Yuanying cultivator can also be a concubine. Sect master, Wang Men shouted and rushed all the way into the hall where the sect master was. The sect master who was dealing with the affairs of the door spoke up and called people in. Sect master, you want to save Yuzhu, Yuzhu's child is just too young and ignorant. Father Wang shouted eagerly when he entered the hall, and his unruly appearance made the disciples standing beside him flash his eyes. Unhappy, Father Wang regards Lingyuanzong as the Wang families. Even with Elder Wang as the backstage, there is more than just Elder Wang in the spirit transformation of Lingyuan sect. Sect Master Si put down the pen in his hand. What's the panic? Didn't you ask the alchemist in the sect to see it? Sect Master Si looks very ordinary, he looks only in his 30s, and he doesn't have the air of a sect master. He looks like an ordinary mortal, but it is not easy to manage such a big sect, not to mention the affiliated sections in terms of power.
only the number of disciples of the Lingyuan sect master sect is tens of thousands. Sect master, Father Wang cried with grief and anger. They all said that they couldn't solve the poison, and they had to study and study it. Sect master, I remember that there is a 5th grade detoxification pill in the door, which can definitely cure the poison of Yuzhu, but the poison of Yuzhu cannot be delayed. The bad thing, I can't wait for the results of their research. I asked the sect master to give Yuzhu the detoxification pill for the sake of Yuzhu's grandfather. The displeased look in the eyes of the disciples on the side was even more displeased, and he asked the sect master for a 5th grade pill. Without looking at Wang Yuzhu's face, can he afford a 5th grade pill? These disciples really wanted to blast this surnamed Wang out of the sect master's hall. Sect master Si said calmly, it's fine for me to take out the 5th grade antidote pill, but... Sect master, please say that as long as I can save Yuzhu, I will agree to anything, Father Wang said hurriedly. The reward order issued in the name of Zongmen will be withdrawn and exchanged with Tianchen pill. Sect master Si smiled. Tianchen pill, Father Wang hesitated for a while. Tianchen pill was prepared for himself. It was used when he was promoted to nascent soul Dachan. Tianchen pill was not easy to come by. He spent a lot of effort to get it. Could it be that the 6th grade Tianchen pill can't be worth the 5th grade detoxification pill? Or can't it be worth the life of Yuzhu? Sect master Si still smiled with a good temper. This. Father Wang was still in pain, but the sect master's words made sense. No matter how precious Tianchen pill was, it was still a 6th grade pill, not as good as a 5th grade pill. Thinking of Yuzhu's situation, he had to grit his teeth and say, okay. That reward order. Sect master Si said lightly, the 2 nascent soul cultivators have already shown mercy, otherwise Yuzhu would provoke senior nascent soul. How could they have saved their lives? Many peak masters in the sect have come to me to protest. Could it be you? Want to embarrass the sect master? Father Wang is so angry that his teeth are itching. Who the is against him? And how did the sect master know so clearly? But in order to get the 5th grade detoxification pill, I had to say, okay, I'll withdraw. That's right, Beijing Yuzhu's life is more important than anything else, right? Sect master Si laughed. He got up and pinched a few spiritual tricks. The main hall master made waves, and then the sect master stretched out his hand to grab someone, grabbed a box out of thin air. This is the 5th grade antidote, take it to Yuzhu, and I will send someone to withdraw the reward order. Yes, many thanks to the sect master for giving the pill. Father Wang felt like he was tricked by the sect master, and he had to thank him, grabbed the pill and left quickly. Seeing him leave, sect master Si ordered the disciples on the side, go, withdraw the reward order, so that outsiders will not see the joke. Yes, sect master. The disciple received it happily. When Guyao arrived at Lingyuan city, the largest and closest city in the sect of Lingyuan sect, the news circulating outside was updated again, and it became Wang Yuzhu, who had a strong background and a big background, and actually let the sect master personally give him a 5-grade antidote to cure it. Injured, but the bounty that hung the images of my uncle and the old demon in Lingchuan city was gone, and was ordered to be withdrawn by the sect. The reward order was withdrawn, and Guyao was somewhat relieved. If it was sent in the name of the sect, it would be very unfavorable to the uncle, because it would be against the entire section now. Even if Wang Yuzhu refuses to let go of the uncle will face it. It is only the forces on Wang Yuzhu's side. 5-grade detoxification pill, this Lingyuan sect is really generous, and he is willing to take out 5-grade antitoxic pills to treat a Jindan cultivator. Guyao sighed with emotion. This is the courage of the big section. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 306. Guyao felt a lot of pain while sighing,
and felt that using such a rank 5 pill on a Jindan cultivator with a bad character would really sully the name of the rank 5 pill and it would be a waste. If there is a chance, he will definitely grab it by any means. He has never seen Weapon Den before, so it would be good to use it to study it. The eyelids are too shallow, isn't it a 5th grade detoxification pill? Su Chen sneered. I want to say, this detoxification pill is more effective in detoxification, and it is useful to detoxify poisons below 5th grade. The effects of those 5th grade poisons are limited, and maybe the actual effect is not as good as some 6th grade high grade pills, and when you refine the top grade 6th grade high grade pills, the auction price may not be lower than this. Of course Guyao wouldn't say anything to demean himself. He blinked and said, after all, I got a 5th rank title, and I said that I have shallow eyelids, and I didn't look at the disciples of Ling Yunzong outside. When I talked about this, I was jealous. Yin Hua, who was somewhere, regained the appearance of an elder again. He also got news from Ling Yunzong. If he had a beard on his face at this moment, he should be so angry that he would blow his beard and stare, and he would grow up in the room angrily. Walking around, swearing and swearing, for example. Ling Yunzong's sect master Lahu has painted it. He actually used the 5th grade pill on such a rotten person. I was clearly trying to clear the troubles for their Ling Yunzong to save the disciples of their sect, and he actually took out the 5th grade pill. Save that little beast, I can see through it, his Ling Yun sect is rotten from top to bottom. Yes, it sucks. I don't think that Chi Change Eye is a good thing. The old demon of the spider agreed on the side. That kid was a straight up sword cultivator on the bright side. I didn't expect it to be cunning. He didn't come from a small place, but a disciple of Ling Yun sect, and he, the old spider demon, came to Wanluo continent to know about this situation, and he kept him secret one by one. Bah! He's not a good thing, and neither are you. Look at the poison of the celestial spider you raised, but it was easily relieved by the 5th grade pill. Yin Hua turned back and sprayed the celestial spider demon, the celestial spider with muscles beside it. Feeling extremely embarrassed, he called out to the old demon twice. Obviously it was even more eager to gnaw the cultivator. The old demon of the sky spider gave the sky spider a smooth touch, and the sky spider no longer had the same knowledge as the two-legged monster in front of him. The old demon of the sky spider continued to touch Yin Hua. Yes, I am not a good thing. Let's raise the sky spider together, and strive to poison that kid again next time, so that he can't get rid of it again. Yin Hua rolled his eyes. This guy is really not a good thing, he admitted it himself, and continued to spout, it's not because of you, my nephew and I got separated, and the messenger was accidentally swallowed by your celestial spider. I don't know where the two of them are, so take a look at your messenger to see if anyone is nearby. The old demon of the spider took out his messenger and sent it to Yin Hua to show him, look, there is no response, I guess it is far away from here, don't worry, we can wait slowly. Now Ling Yunzong has withdrawn the reward order and sent the disciples who went out have all gone back, and there is no danger outside. Of course they can't do anything about us even if they don't withdraw, and run out one by one. How do you know that we will stay under their noses, right? Yes, all idiots. Yin Hua despised the IQ of the disciples of Ling Yun sect. My nephew will definitely come here, we will wait for someone here. The kid Chi Change Eye definitely hasn't come back, and he hasn't until now. When the news of him came out, his father and brother are really different things. Yes, it's not a thing. It was thrown into the Spring Breeze building to be repaired, and it's a shame. Yin Hua felt happy again when he thought of Zhong Changhan's end, touched his chin and said, I don't know which guy did it, but I think this technique seems a little familiar. Old Demon Sky Spider rolled his eyes and said, it must be that this kid has offended too many people. When he saw that he was far away from the main sect, he took the opportunity to play tricks behind his back. Otherwise, why would the disciples of the same sect find out by chance?
It was also publicized, you said right. It seems to be the same, who made that kid's stomach full of bad water, this is the end. I said that it was not enough. Yinhua's attention was immediately diverted. Gu Yao didn't know that his uncle's messenger was gone, and he didn't expect that at this moment, his uncle was somewhere in Lingyuan City. Lingyuan City is huge, and the number of monks coming and going can be counted in hundreds of millions. In such a large city, what are the chances of encountering such a huge number of monks? Gu Yao obviously had great trust in the messenger, so he decided to stay in Lingyuan City, and while cultivating, he continued to inquire about all kinds of things in Lingyuanzong without a trace. He thought about it, and when he didn't know when Qi Changjai would come to meet, it would be better to contact Kai's mother as soon as possible. He had heard the news that Kai's mother and Zhong Zheyu had fallen out several times in the city. The hard work paid off. He finally knew the more specific situation of Kai's mother. Kai's mother Qi Bo returned to Lingyuanzong with the strength of the middle nascent soul, which was quite a sensation at the time, not to mention the fight with Zhong Zheyu afterwards. That's why Mother Qi was among the most potential nascent soul disciples in the Lingyuan sect, so after her return, she was included in the group of nascent soul disciples to be cultivated. The Lingyuan sect is divided into various main peaks under the sect master and the elder Huashan. As long as you step into the nascent soul stage, you will be qualified to choose a deputy peak to live alone in a peak. For example, Zhong Zheyu and Qi Bo, who has returned to the sect, have all obtained the qualification to have deputy peaks. The main peak where Zhong Zheyu is located is Zixiao Peak, and the peak owner is Elder Wang's eldest disciple. Elder Wang was the peak owner of this Zixiao Peak before he was transformed into a god. Now Father Wang and Zhong Zheyu are both attached to this main peak. Feng can be regarded as the power of Elder Wang's lineage, which has existed for more than thousands of years and has a very deep background. Because Qi Xian is good at talisman, after returning, he chose the deputy peak under Fu Feng without hesitation, just compared to Zixiao Peak. Fu Feng, the main peak, does not have the elders of the gods as a backer, so its status is not prominent among the main peaks, but fortunately, most of Lingyuanzong's Fu masters come from this main peak, so their status and influence are not neglect. Now that Mother Qi has become the deputy peak master, as long as there is no Lingyuan sect, there is no problem with safety. Who would dare to take action against her under the watchful eyes of the sect master and the elder Huashan? This made Gu Yao feel at ease and worried at the same time. What he hid was the alchemy technique, not the talisman technique, so it would be even more difficult to infiltrate the Fu Feng world without entering the range of Fu Feng, and wanted to approach silently. The chance of a late mother is also very small. So what should I do now? Go into Dangxia Peak first, Gu Yao asked Su Chen. He also found out that Dangxia Peak is known for its alchemy skills. The peak master of Dangxia Peak is an alchemist with the strength of Yuanying Dachan. Dangxia Peak has gathered many 6th-grade alchemists in Lingyuan sect. He also heard that this time, because of Wang Yuzhu's detoxification, Wang's father offended many alchemists in Dangxia Peak, because Wang's father disliked the poor level of these 6th-grade alchemists, and none of them could help his son. After detoxifying his body, although he said it in private, he didn't know why he was in Dan. The peak spread, which is good, and caused public anger. The alchemist on Dangxia Peak may not be able to treat the elders of the gods, but what is Wang Yuzhu and his son, are they qualified to point fingers at Dangxia Peak? Su Chen came up with an idea. Okay, you can throw a few top-grade pills out for auction, and you will definitely be able to attract the alchemists in the Lingyuan section after seeing your alchemy level. Can you push you out? In a sense, Su Chen treats Gu Yao as a disciple. He is very content with Gu Yao's alchemy skills, let alone Lingyuan sect. Even if he goes to the spiritual world in the future, this level is second to none, so only Gu Yao is the best. Yao is willing to enter Lingyuanzong, but there is no reason for Lingyuanzong to dislike Gu Yao. Fortunately,
Yao didn't know this kind of thinking in Su Chen's heart. He was not so arrogant. If it weren't for the existence of the pill pavilion, if it wasn't for Su Chen, an alchemist master guiding him behind him, his alchemy the skill level can only progress slowly in groping, unable to reach the current achievement. It can be said that he is standing on the shoulders of two giants, one from the previous life and one from the present life. Yao hurriedly shook his head. No, it's too showy, I think it's better to keep a low profile. After all, on other people's territory, I'd better ask if there is any way to enter Dangxia Peak. Although Dangxia Peak is not Fufeng, he thought that there should be contacts between Dangxia Peak and Fufeng. After all, cultivators cannot do without medicinal pills. As long as they enter Dangxia Peak, they should be able to come and ask for it from time to time. The cultivator Fufeng of the medicine pill. Well, the first step, into Dan Feng, the second step is to contact cultivator Fufeng, and the third step is to find a way to get close to Qi Mother through Fufeng's cultivator. Anyway, when Qi Changjai comes back, he wants to return to the section Kof. According to his relationship with Qi Changjai, he is actually a member of the Lingyun section Kof, so it is the same to go in earlier and later. So Yao actively inquired about the opportunity to enter Dangxia Peak, and after 10 days, he really let him find an opportunity. You mean that Lingyunzong has discovered a new secret realm, but the poisonous gas is permeating the periphery of the secret realm, so now Lingyunzong urgently needs a group of alchemists who can refine detoxification pills of rank 7 or above, and refine antidote pills for Lingyunzong. Yao often went to a shop that bought spirit grass and sold spirit pills, and spent a lot of spirit stones in this shop. He recovered his cultivation in the early days of nascent soul, and no longer pretended to be a Jindan cultivator. Otherwise, it would be easy to be exposed after entering the Lingyun sect, which would attract suspicion, so it is better to show it directly, and the banner he played was that he had always been it was he who was exploring the alchemy technique by himself, but after entering the nascent soul stage, the alchemy technique fell into the bottle path. Without further alchemy recipes and guidance from a good teacher, there is no doubt that the Dangxia Peak of Lingyun sect is an excellent place to go. For his nascent soul cultivation base, the shop assistants and shopkeepers didn't embarrass him too much. If he could really enter Dangxia Peak, the shop would have settled a good relationship. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 307. After Yao confirmed the specific situation, he withdrew from the inn and went to the registration office of Dangxia Peak of Lingyun sect. As long as Dangxia Peak accepts the alchemist, he has great confidence in himself, so there is no need to keep the inn. When Yao went to the registration office, Yinhua and the old demon Sky Spider were walking around the city. They were very upright. Except for the absence of the obvious sign of the Sky Spider, of course, the two of them were not the same as the previous reward. Yao retreated from the inn and left the place, and Yinhua and the old demon of the spider turned there. Yinhua frowned slightly and whispered, "Why do I feel like I have the atmosphere of my outside album?" A ray of light flashed in the eyes of the Sky Spider old demon, and he took out the messenger and said, "Look, there is still no response. I think there are alchemists coming and going here. You are confusing the aura of the alchemist with Xiaoao's, right? I think you miss Xiaoao too much. You must know that he is also a cultivator of nascent soul, he is clever, and Qi Changjai, a sword cultivator who is not weak, will not be bullied wherever he goes." He took Yinhua and walked out of the city again. "I think you are too busy all day. Why don't we go out of the city and get some rations to supplement the Sky Spider? Don't you think it's a little weaker?" Hearing that he was disliked by Yinhua, the Sky Spider, who could not show up, could only protest to its owner, and the old devil of the Sky Spider had to be appeased. Yinhua waved his hand away from the old Sky Spider demon's hand. "I can walk by myself, so I don't need you to pull it. Forget it, it's useless to wander around the city all the time, so let's go out of the city and relax." Humph, if it wasn't for the old man who was alone, he wouldn't want to hang out with this guy. When his nephew and Chi-Chang-Jai came over, who would care about this guy? The old demon of the sky spider secretly said, maybe Guyao really came to Lingyun City. The kid who was recruited by Ling Yunzong was probably the hand of Guyao. After knowing each other for so long, he did not think that Guyao was a simple person. To be honest, otherwise why would there be such a deep research on poisons? He also had some poison on him. However, there has been no news from Lingyun section. It is very likely that Guyao is the only one who came, and Chi-Chang-Jai is separated from him. This is very possible, so Lingyun sect is recruiting alchemists. Guyao wants to mix into Lingyun sect. This is an excellent opportunity, so at this time, let Yinhua go out of the city to wander far away from Gu, so that he can spend more time with Yinhua alone. The registration office is still in Lingyun City, and those who pass the customs will be brought into Lingyun sect. When Guyao arrived, he found that there were many alchemists gathered here. Most of them were Jindan cultivators, and some alchemists in the foundation stage also wanted to come over to see if there was a chance, maybe they would be seen by people from Dangxia Peak. If you are interested in their alchemy talent, let's open it up and put it in. Because the news was only released not long ago, most of the alchemists who came here at this time were from within Lingyun City. The news of the alchemists outside was a little behind, and it would take time to rush over. Originally, these alchemists had very little communication with each other, because they were probably competitors, and they knew each other before. When Guyao appeared, the situation on the scene changed abruptly, and they all focused their attention on Guyao. After confirming again and again, many alchemists let out gasps. They were really nascent soul cultivators. Assessment. Nuanying cultivator still needs to participate in this kind of assessment. With him, we will have one less place. Aren't you angry? What happened to the Yuanying cultivator? Who said that the Yuanying cultivator's alchemy skills are strong? Maybe he can barely force a 7th rank alchemist, and he has to participate in the assessment with us Jindan cultivators. This statement has actually been echoed by a lot of opinions. After cultivator Baijing entered the nascent soul stage, his lifespan increased greatly, and he had a lot of time. When the growth rate of the cultivation base slowed down, some cultivators began to learn alchemy techniques. Runes and arrays are used to pass the time. Although there are some who have learned results, there are still some monks who have very limited talents in this area. They determined that Guyao was a limited talent. The arrival of Guyao also attracted the attention of Dangxia Peak alchemists. They never thought that they would recruit 6th grade alchemists in such a place. You must know that such a big sect as Ling Yunzong would not dislike the 6th grade alchemist too. There are many, but they are also worried that this is just a fan who is interested in alchemy after entering the nascent soul. The person in charge of recruiting alchemists this time is Cao Songbei, who has not been promoted to the 6th grade alchemist for a long time. He heard the talk of several nephews. Anyway, it is also a cultivator of Yuan Ying. Please be polite and invite people in. I will leave it alone. He will be assessed, and if he passes the test, he will be brought in, and if he fails, he will be persuaded to send him away. Yes, Uncle Shi, this disciple invites that senior Yuanying to come in. Seeing the cultivator dressed as a disciple of Lingyun sect come out, the quiet scene was a bit turbulent, but when he walked in front of Guyao, he looked at Guyao with envy and jealousy again. Yuanying Ziawei bullied them, these alchemists. However, there is also the usual mentality of an alchemist, and it is not guaranteed that someone has a real level. If it is a 6th grade alchemist, it will not affect their admission of these 7th grade alchemists. Seeing that Guyao invited him in, he politely thanked him, followed the Jindan disciple into the interior, and was led to Cao Songbei. This fellow deist, I don't know what to call him, Cao Songbei said politely, and sensitively smelled the familiar scent of elixir on this person. Inexplicably raised anticipation in his heart,
maybe he really picked up a 6th grade alchemist. Alchemist Cao, my surname is Gu, my name is Yao, and my name is Alchemist Gu. Yao introduced himself with a smile. Some disciples stopped their movements and looked at him, pretending to be an alchemist. Is alchemy really good? It turned out that the nascent soul cultivator looked too young, and some of the disciples shook their heads secretly. Maybe he was an extremely fond of alchemy techniques in addition to his cultivation, but his real level might not be enough to catch the eye. Cao Songbei, I said with a smile, it turned out to be the ancient alchemist. Please come with me, our Lingyuan sect Dangxia Peak is in need of alchemists from all sides. Join in. Please. Cao Songbei, I took Gu Yao to the assessment office of the 6th grade alchemist. The staff prepared a bunch of spirit herbs mixed together. Cao Songbei, I introduced the rules. Just need Gu alchemist to refine any 6th grade medicinal herb on the spot. You can enter my Dangxia Peak. Okay, Gu Yao agreed. This kind of assessment is too simple. He glanced at it, walked forward, took the spirit grass and said, then I'll make King Glutton. Cao Songbei, I and the cultivators who came to watch together were secretly amazed, especially when he saw that he accurately started to make King Glutton's spirit grass. He couldn't help thinking that King Glutton was a 6th grade primary pill, and its effect was aimed at special geographical locations. The miasma formed is one of the detoxification pills, and it is also the most targeted pill in the secret realm. Although King Glutton belongs to the 6th grade primary pill, its refining difficulty is actually close to the 6th grade intermediate pill. Therefore, some 6th grade elementary alchemists may not be able to refine it with confidence, and the success rate is not high. Grasp the refining, such talents must definitely be absorbed. After Gu Yao picked out the required materials, he went to the designated place, took out his own pill furnace, and sacrificed his own nascent soul fire. He didn't use the strange fire as soon as he came up. This was different from hiding his cultivation. Now he only needs to first infiltrating the Lingyuan sect. You don't need to add points for yourself. Different fire, even in Wanluo continent, is also something that can be encountered but not sought after. If it is exposed rashly without any support, it is unlikely that no one will have the heart to look at it. Gu Yao likes to ponder all kinds of poisons to make poison pills, and detoxification pills are naturally the pills he needs to study. Throw the materials into the pill furnace one by one, and start the process of quenching and removing impurities. All those present in charge of the assessment were alchemists from Dangxia Peak. Seeing Gu Yao's posture, he was overjoyed. Is this feeling a veteran? Isn't it possible that an old hand can do it so easily with his eyes closed? Uncle Cao, can we really recruit a 6th grade alchemist this time? It would be great if that was the case. Cao Songbei also smiled. Yes, it is a blessing for my peak to have a 6th grade alchemist to join my peak. But our Dangxia peak still lacks a 5th grade alchemist to sit in charge, otherwise we would not let people criticize like that. These alchemists thought of the Wang family's father and son, and they felt unhappy. Dan Feng is different from Fu Feng. Fu Feng has never shown the power of God transformation. However, Dangxia Peak has once been a 5th grade alchemist at the transformation level, but that alchemist has already died. He left his inheritance in Dangxia Peak to benefit future generations, but it is a pity that although the alchemist is good at alchemy, he is not as good as the monks of other peaks in practice. This is also the fundamental reason why the father and son of the Wang family dared to yell at Dangxia Peak alchemists like that and criticize them. Working situation. In recent years, Dangxia Peak has also longed for geniuses in Dangxia. I hope that a 5th grade alchemist will appear in Dangxia Peak to revive the reputation of Dangxia Peak. It is a pity that those monks who showed extremely high talent in their early years are more willing to invest. Those sect forces with 5th grade alchemists. At first, there were low whispers, but with the progress of Gu Yao, all the people around him became quiet,
and they focused on Guyao himself and the pill furnace in front of him, and the golden pill cultivators concentrated on watching this time alchemy. This is an excellent opportunity to observe the 6th grade alchemist's alchemy at close range. Yes, they now completely treat Guyao as a 6th grade alchemist, and no longer hold a skeptical attitude like before. It is Cao Songbei, with a serious look and a bit of joy, Guyao's every move. There is no mistake, and it can almost become a template. As long as it can be played normally, he believes that this potion will definitely succeed. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 308. Gradually, those Jindan alchemists outside couldn't sit still, and the disciples of Ling Yunzong in charge of affairs all ran in and left them. So what happened inside? Could it be that Senior Nascent Soul is really a genuine alchemist? What's the hurry? Maybe they all went in to watch the fun, someone said carelessly. Ask yourself, if they were genuine 6th grade alchemists, would they come to participate in the assessment of Ling Yun sect? With such strength, they have long been supported by the 2nd and 3rd rate forces. Is it necessary to come to Ling Yunzong to be an alchemy worker? Some people simply closed their eyes and adjusted their breaths, but as time passed, the scent of elixir wafted out of the inner hall, and many monks showed a strange look on their faces. Who's concocting pills inside? What kind of pill scent is this? I seem to have seen it once. Yes, it is King Glutton. It is the Dangxiang of King Glutton. There is actually a 6th grade alchemist refining the 6th grade pill on the spot. No wonder those disciples ran in. Of course, such a great opportunity to observe is not to be missed. You forgot, the one who entered the assessment before was Senior Yuan Ying. Is it possible? Impossible, someone immediately interrupted the man's guess. The scent of the pills became stronger and stronger. Taking a sip of the incense, all the alchemists present felt refreshed. This time, it was definitely King Glutton, because this extremely miasma would make the cultivators hallucinated. After being addicted to it, he couldn't wake up again, and finally turned into the nourishment and dead bones of the miasma forest. Therefore, although King Gluto-Dan is not a detoxification pill for the soul, it also has a certain effect, and the latter is more difficult. Suddenly, the scent of Dan disappeared, and there was only the faint aftertaste left in the surrounding area, and the aftertaste left in the hearts of each alchemist, making one feel lost. Perhaps Donji Cao was refining King Glutton at the scene just now, but unfortunately we didn't have a chance to see it, someone said regretfully. The scene in the inner hall was completely different. They watched with their own eyes. Guyao made 9 cyan luodan, all of them full, exuding a lustrous blue light, and all of them were of the middle grade. This result greatly exceeded their expectations. Originally had no hope, but now he was afraid that Guyao would not be willing to stay at Dangxia Peak, so he tried every means to keep people behind, and his gaze towards Guyao also became eager. Guyao got goosebumps when he saw it. He brought the bottle of medicinal pills to Cao Songbei and said, "Fortunately, I didn't lose my life." Okay, great, Cao Songbei said excitedly, and at the same time had a very strange feeling in his heart, because he looked at the whole process, and felt that the 9 descendants of Luo Dan were all so uniform and one color. Yes, the 9 pills seemed to be completely copied. He didn't know if this was a coincidence, or the result of an alchemist's superb control. No, he didn't even dare to think about the latter. But Guyao didn't seem so laborious in the whole process of alchemy, and he could feel the strong soul force, which is simply a natural controller. Alchemist Gu, welcome to join us at the Dangxia Peak of Lingyun section. Why don't Alchemist Gu and I preside over the assessment of the alchemist? Cao Songbei tried his best to invite. Guyao thought it was okay, so he nodded and said, "Okay, I'm honored to." Cao Songbei hurriedly asked the disciples present to take their places, and arranged batches of alchemists to come in for the examination, while Cao Songbei invited Guyao to sit on the main seat with him,
So the first batch of alchemists who came in saw the main examination seat. Guyao, who was happily communicating with Cao Songbei, all narrowed his eyes in surprise. Shouldn't this person be asked to go? Even a cultivator of nascent soul cannot be mad at the Lingyun sect, so it is necessary for Cao Songbei to be so polite, no, enthusiastic. When they saw Cao Songbei before, their expressions were always light, and they didn't show such a big smile as they are now. Cao Songbei noticed that the people below were all staring at him, and Guyao smiled slightly, coughed lightly and said, "Next, Alchemist Gu will preside over this assessment together with me. I hope you all take it seriously, this is the beginning." Bar. If it weren't for the assessment, this would have started. The alchemists who came in would have lost a lot of eyeballs. Even now, some people glanced at Guyao and Cao Songbei from the corner of their eyes from time to time, and found that Cao Songbei was listening. In Guyao's words, this attitude made the alchemist almost take the wrong spirit grass. Although they are reluctant to admit it, most people have realized that they had been wrong before. This should be a genuine alchemist, and a 6th grade alchemist, in order to receive such preferential treatment as Cao Songbei. The assessment of a 7th grade alchemist is different from that of Guyao. Dang Xiafeng directly specifies the medicinal pills that need to be refined, and Dang Xiafeng provides the materials and alchemy furnace in a unified manner. This is the best way to see the true level of an alchemist. After these alchemy furnaces were opened for alchemy, Guyao and Cao Songbei also stopped the exchange of alchemy techniques, and watched these alchemists concoct alchemy carefully, and occasionally exchanged opinions, which was also aimed at the alchemists present. Guyao is very conscientious. He feels that he is already a member of Dangxia Peak. Of course, he needs to select a qualified alchemist for Dangxia Peak. The alchemists who stayed were very happy, and the alchemists who were not accepted walked out with a look of disappointment. The following scene was repeated several times, including the surprise when he saw Guyao, which was the first time Cao Songbei saw him. At that time he guessed the truth, because the same thought flashed through his mind at the time. Some of the remaining alchemists asked the Dangxia Peak disciples what was going on, and the Dangxia Peak disciples kindly told them that the King Glodo Dan just now was refined by the ancient alchemist Peak, but whether Guyao is a cultivation base or a Dan. Technically, they are all their predecessors. These words quickly spread among the alchemists who came for the assessment, and they were all surprised. The low-grade King Glutton was also qualified, and these alchemists felt incredible. Guyao won't ask what they are thinking in their hearts. When they are resting, Guyao and Cao Songbei will exchange some questions about the alchemy technique, and both of them have gained a lot. Cao Songbei may be inferior to Guyao in alchemy technique, but he grew up in Dangxia Peak, with a solid foundation and a wide range of readings. Talking with him, Guyao also felt beneficial, and his expectations for Dangxia Peak were even greater. Guyao also has Guyao's strengths. Some problems are often straight to the point, which makes Cao Songbei feel a sense of enlightenment. When the newly recruited alchemist returned to the sect, Guyao had to be settled. Cao Songbei led the way, and the accompanying disciples also escorted the group of alchemists all the way into the Lingyun sect. Of course, Guyao was given special attention. Although the alchemists selected by the same batch were envious, they all followed honestly at this time. There was still a big gap between Yuanying and Jin Dan, and between 6th and 7th grade alchemists. It is easy to surpass them, and their status after entering the Uncle Dan Peak will be very different. Some alchemists secretly regretted in their hearts, they knew that Guyao had such strength, they should have established a good relationship with him in advance. In their opinion, Guyao, a foreign alchemist who first entered Pil Uncle Peak, was among a group of 6th rank alchemists. It's not that easy to get ahead in middle school, and then you need help from your own people. I don't know if it's too late to rely on the past. However, they were immediately attracted by the scenery in Lingyun sect,
and they had no time to have other thoughts. Lingyun sect is the largest sect force in this area. There are countless small sects and clan forces attached to it. It is conceivable to know what the status of this main sect is. Therefore, the main sect occupies a very wide area. There was no end in sight, and the area they were flying in was still the periphery. Looking around, I can only see mountains rising from the ground, layer upon layer, and I don't know where to extend. Guyao was also amazed by the sight, and he praised his words without hesitation. Lingyunzong is really impressive, it is indeed a first-class sect in Wanluo continent, and countless monks yearn for it. Cao Songbei and the other disciples of Dangxia Peak were also extremely proud. The fact that Lingyun sect was able to maintain its current status as a first-class sect was achieved by the efforts of countless disciples from generation to generation. As one of them, they were extremely proud. Going out with this identity, will let the monks outside take a high look. For example, the alchemists recruited this time can definitely become the pillars of the second and third-rate sects, but in the Lingyun sect, they can only become alchemists at the periphery of Dangxia Peak at first, wanting to enter the inner layer or even the core layer. You need rounds of assessments and contributions to Dangxia Peak. Although Cao Songbei was extremely proud in his heart, he could also hear another meaning in Guyao's words, Wanluo continent. Could it be Gu alchemist? Guyao didn't want to hide his origins, after all he had a strange face here. Lingyunzong would also send someone to investigate his details, not to mention that it would be exposed sooner or later, so he smiled, yes, I am not native to Wanluo continent. My cultivator, who just came from other continents, has been separated from his companions. I have heard about the reputation of Lingyun sect along the way, and I yearn for it very much. Cao Songbei was relieved, which proved that there was no problem with Guyao's origin. So that's the case. I said that I have never heard of the reputation of the ancient alchemist before. With the ancient alchemist's alchemy technique, if it is a local cultivator, it should have been long ago famous. The other cultivators also secretly thought to themselves that they came from somewhere else. No wonder they had never seen it before, and they had misunderstood. If Guyao wasn't an alchemist, nascent soul cultivators from a small place would not think too highly of them. It is not easy for a cultivator with no roots to succeed in Wanluo continent. The advantage is of course on the side of the local monks. But with the identity of the 6th grade alchemist, it is very different. If he reported the identity of the 6th grade alchemist early, I believe that many sect forces will draw him in. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 309. It took a lot of time to fly from the periphery to Danfan, and experienced various scenery of Lingyunzong along the way. Guyao is more emotional than other monks. This is where Qi Changjai lived since he was a child. He has come in now, but Qi Changjai himself has not come back. It's a little hard to believe that Qi Changjai didn't show many symptoms of discomfort when he first fell into the Tianlin continent from the space crack and appeared in a bad place like Yuanyang town. Dan. The main peak is shrouded in clouds and mist, and it is the mist condensed from the spiritual energy, which shows the rich spiritual energy of the main peak. Looking down from the air, you can see a large area of spiritual fields, planted with various spiritual grasses, and the monks shuttled through them, looking so orderly. The main peak is the highest, and the top is covered by clouds, so it is impossible to see the scenery inside. The so-called main peak is actually not just one mountain, there are undulating hills next to it. Guyao was temporarily placed on one of the tops, and it would take a certain process to get the same treatment as the disciples of Lingyun sect's nascent soul. However, after listening to Cao Songbei's introduction to the main peak, Guyao was very happy to place the cave dwelling here, because he could go to the main peak by raising his feet. All the resources of the technique, These are what Gu Yao is most interested in. Of course, at present, he still can't touch the core things on Dangxia Peak, but when his status improves, these contents will be open to him, and he is very confident. At present, Dangxia Peak is quite busy. As soon as their group of alchemists came in, they did not adapt to the transition time, so they started alchemy. Tasks can be converted into the contribution value of the section. Once the contribution value is deducted to a certain extent, it is likely to face the danger of losing the status of the disciple of Lingyun sect. Gu Yao owns a separate hilltop, and other Jindan alchemists live together. At first, Jindan alchemists wanted to visit him, but they were too busy to find time because of the tasks sent from above, and Gu Yao also needed it. After refining the medicine pill, the one assigned to him was King Glutton. After 1 month asterisk. The Yin alchemist walked into the alchemy hall and asked, "Is the quantity of King Glutton enough? If not, bring the materials, and I will take the time to refine it." On Dangxia Peak, not all 6th grade alchemists have made medicine pills, some are in retreat, and some have other busy affairs in their hands. It is impossible for all alchemists to wander around a secret realm. Even the other cultivators of Lingyun sect did not agree. Dang Ziafeng was responsible for almost the entire sect's medicinal pill needs. Senior Brother Yin, Cao Songbei got up to greet him. "Senior Brother Yin, are you finished?" But this time, Brother Yin doesn't have to worry. Brother Yin doesn't know anything. Dang Ziafeng has newly recruited a 6th grade alchemist in Lingyun City. Named Gu Yao, although Gu alchemist is at the early stage of nascent soul cultivation, but I think his alchemy skills are a bit ahead of his cultivation. New recruit? What a coincidence, alchemist Yin was much more cautious. He looked at the pile of jade bottles on the table, opened one of them, and inside was King Glutton, and in the bottle he opened, it is still loaded with top-grade King Glutton. Surprised, he swept through other bottles with his spiritual sense and found that most of them were middle-grade King Glutton, but these small amounts of high-grade King Glutton surprised him very much. The monks in the early nascent soul could refine these ingredients in a short period of time. Alchemy is ahead of the cultivation base. Cao Songbei knew that the alchemist Yin was suspicious of Gu Yao's identity, so he explained Gu Yao's origin. When he brought Gu Yao back, Cao Songbei specially sent someone to investigate the place where Gu Yao first appeared. It is true that such a person appeared there out of thin air. Although there is no direct evidence that he is an alchemist, he likes to buy all kinds of spiritual herbs and elixirs wherever he goes. Senior Brother Yin, Master Yuan Feng also knows the situation of Master Ancient Alchemist. Peak Master Yuan asked me to take care of Master Ancient Alchemy. Brother Yin, you may not know that Master Alchemist is not only good at alchemy, but also very talented in cultivation. He has practiced until now. It is less than 60 years, such a speed, not to mention those continents below, even in our Wanluo continent, in our Lingyun sect, he is also outstanding. What is even more rare is that his foundation is very solid, and his alchemy skills are very solid. Hi! As soon as Cao Songbei praised Gu Yao, there was no end to it, and the Yin alchemist couldn't hear his love for Gu Yao. The alchemist Yin was also very surprised that this alchemist was young, and he was indeed placed in the Lingyun sect, and he also belonged to the ranks of heaven's favored sons. This made him think of junior sister Kai's son, senior nephew Chang Ye. If Chang Ye was still in the sect, he might have already been condensed and would not be inferior to this ancient alchemist. Other continents. Did you ask which continent it was? Alchemist Yin still asked worriedly. I asked, Cao Songbei said with a smile, it's a continent called Qinhao. I checked the information in the section. There is such a place, but no monks have come to this continent for a long time, and Master Gu said that the passage there used to be. It was destroyed and it was repaired recently. In the past 10 years, a group of nascent soul cultivators have come to us. I think if we ask more, we will definitely be able to find out about these cultivators. In this way, the yin alchemist is relieved a lot. It is not impossible for the channel to be destroyed, just like the channel that leads to the spiritual world from the Wanluo continent. Well, forget it, these things don't need him to worry about it. Cao Songbei, I can understand senior brother Yin's cautiousness, worried that the other party has hidden his identity, or is it against Ling Yunzong and Dan? Peak loyalty is not enough. Like other sects, the disciples of Ling Yun sect were recruited since childhood, or they were directly descendants of the disciples in the section. They grew up in the sect and practiced together, and their affection for the sect was naturally very deep. Those who joined in halfway may not be there, maybe they will leave at any time, unable to share will and woe with the sect. Gu Yao didn't know about this conversation about him, but even if he knew, he wouldn't take it to heart. Maybe, with the help of Ling Yunzong, he could help him find the whereabouts of his uncle and Qi Changjai. The previous month was basically spent in alchemy. Although he could hand over a sufficient amount of Yuluiden faster, he did not want to expose the real alchemy level prematurely, but gradually improved. For example, in the middle grade, King Glutton Shang also handed over some top grade pills. Cao Songbei also came to see him from time to time, and he was interested to learn about alchemy techniques. Gu Yao did not inquire much about the situation of other peaks. He focused on asking about all kinds of Dangxia peaks. Cao Songbei also knew everything and told him some things to pay attention to. Matter. Fortunately, Gu Yao could hear that the general atmosphere of Dangxia Peak was relatively harmonious, and there were not so many disputes, especially things like the father and son of the Wang family, which made Dangxia Peak unanimous and more united. Gu Yao is now standing in front of a tower. The tower is 9 stories high, and all alchemists on the ground floor can enter. Above the ground floor, you need to spend a certain amount of Zongmen contribution points. The higher you go, the more Zongmen contribution points you need. Gu Yao looked at the identity card in his hand. Because of his identity as a 6th grade alchemist, and the King Glodo Dan he had refined before, the identity card now has a total of 60,000 contribution points. Perhaps for the Foundation Establishment Pill Cultivator, these contribution values are very large, but unfortunately the Nascent Soul Cultivator is also in great demand. For these contribution values, Gu Yao doubts how long he will be allowed to stay in this tower. It is possible to spend all the contribution value in it. There are monks passing by from time to time, and no one cares about Gu Yao. Gu Yao feels like a country bumpkin. He is full of surprises about everything in the Lingyun section. He blames Qi Changjai for not telling him many things clearly. In his eyes, everything in the Lingyun sect is very common. Don't you know that people from small places will be surprised and deceived? Gu Yao took a step towards the entrance, where there was a special cultivator to guard. Gu Yao saw an old lady with a face full of folds, and the breath on her body was like an ordinary person, but when she swept over now, Gu Yao has a feeling of heart palpitations, as if he has been seen through from the inside out. Strong. This is a very powerful monk. Compared with the feeling of the old spider, it was unfathomable. A very surprising answer flashed in Gu Yao's heart, but, is this really possible? A god turning great Zhu guarding the gate in front of the Danta? Gu Yao handed out the identity card, and smiled obediently. No, he was very obedient, and he didn't come to Ling Yunzong to make trouble, of course, on the premise that no one stopped Qi Changjai to take revenge. The old lady first squinted her eyes and looked at the young monk in front of her, as if her eyes were dizzy and couldn't see clearly, then she grinned kindly. It's a new alchemist. The potential of the younger generation is good. Work hard, old lady, I am look after you, this offspring. Go in. The old lady handed the identity card back to Gu Yao, who respectfully accepted it before continuing to walk inside. Standing outside the tower, I felt that the tower gave people a very sacred and solemn feeling. When I got inside, I found that there was a world of its own. It was like 2 worlds inside and outside the door. The bookshelf, I don't know how many collections of jade slips there are, not to mention that there are 8 floors above. Guyao really hopes that one day, he will read all the collections in this tower. After stepping into the door, his figure disappeared, and the old lady with folds was still sitting at the door. The door is like home with my wife. Is there anything different about this young man? It made you look at it a few more times, and even started talking, the old man complained. The old lady gave him a sideways look. I see how fair and pleasing this little queen grows. Do you want to look at your wrinkled face? It's better to look at my own. Besides, the little queen is not only tender, he is also a young green onion boy, and he is much better than you were back then. Transmigration, First Class Immortal Husband. Author, North Wind Blows. Chapter 310. The old man stuck his neck in disapproval and said, how could he be better than me? Back then, how many young disciples in the sect glared at me? Yes, it made you dizzy, and almost stopped on the golden pill. At that time, you called me many seniors and uncles, the old lady revealed mercilessly. The old man had 2 blushes on his face, and he said, isn't this catching up later? Doesn't this prove that my cultivation talent is not bad? Look, I laughed at the old man and my classmates. How many are left? Compared to those fresh sect disciples, the 2 old guys have become old monsters. Besides the sect master and the same old monsters in the retreat, how many people can recognize them? The second old man chatted for a while like the old man and the old lady in the ordinary people's family. After that, the turbidity in the old lady's eyes disappeared, and the light flashed. Perhaps what happened back then should be on the disciples of this generation. The old man read a different way. Is it still related to the little white face just now? The old lady glared at him. What's the matter? Don't believe it? Then wait and see. Maybe it will be your turn to cry and beg someone to be born. Impossible, the old man shouted, scratching his neck. The old lady didn't bother to care about him anymore. After living so old, she still cares about the livelihood of a young man. Besides, the back waves of the Yangtze River push the front waves. These old guys will die on the beach one day sooner or later. While flipping through the book, Guyao asked Su Chen, Senior, is the person at the entrance just now the senior god Transformation? Su Chen replied, yes, the appearance is only for others to see. That person must have a high status in this Lingyuan sect, such as these big sects may not expose all their details, and the elders of the gods may not necessarily be exposed. It's all strength. Guyao was a little surprised, but it makes sense to think about it. Some time ago in Lingyuan City, he had already inquired about the 4 elders of God Transformation in the Lingyuan section. Years did not show up. The only female elder among the 4 God-changing elders does not seem to match the characteristics of the predecessors seen before. Perhaps the senior is the hidden force of the Lingyuan sect. Guyao's current strength is not enough to participate in things at the level of gods, so after thinking about it, he put it down and threw himself into the ocean of books to swim. Supplement successively. The more he looked at Guyao, the more he felt that it was no wonder that the cultivators yearned for the big section. How could the scattered cultivators outside have access to such a comprehensive collection and get such a systematic and comprehensive training? However, he also discovered that there were not many monks on the ground floor, and most of them went to the 2nd and 3rd floors to find the collection of jade slips they needed. He is not in a hurry to go up. Unlike others, what he lacks is this basic knowledge, whether it is alchemy or cultivation. Yin Alchemist heard Cao Songbei praise Guyao so much, and he was also a 6th grade alchemist at the Yuanying level, so he wanted to meet for a while. But it was not good to rush to the door to disturb him, so Cao Songbei first asked the disciples around him to see if Guyao was free, but the disciples came back to spread the word after a while. The disciple who was a handyman over there said that the ancient alchemist was not in the cave, and he left a message that he would go to the alchemy tower. The disciple asked others and said that the ancient alchemist did not come out after he entered the alchemy tower. Cao Songbei smiled at Alchemist Yin and said, "Look, Alchemist Gu is such a humble person," and he expressed his yearning for the alchemy tower several times in his words. He didn't go in whenever he had free time, and when he could come out, junior brother. I can't say good. Talented monks often have a bit of arrogance. Cao Songbei believes that Guyao is proud, especially from a small place. He has reached this level at such a young age. He also knows that they are also top geniuses. He is sought after by countless people, but his arrogance is very restrained, revealing his self-confidence in alchemy. Alchemist Yin didn't care either. Then there is a chance to see you again. You can meet me when you enter my Dangxia Peak. After Alchemist Yin finished speaking, he waved his hand and left. At this moment, he had no idea what the next meeting would be like. Guyao stayed in the tower for 3 days and 3 nights without eating or drinking, but he didn't feel tired at all. After reading another book, he put the book back on the shelf, and was about to reach for the next book when the conversation between two monks came into his ears. He originally wanted to take the book and avoid it, but the content of the two people's conversation made him stop, and his ears perked up as he turned the book. "What? Knowing that you have no face to see your aunt, you want to start with me? Pull it down, your clan's face is so disgusting. When your aunt disappeared, your attitude towards your cousin changed." The person surnamed Zhong sent a concubine by his side and thought that he could climb up to him. "This is the master of the elders, how can I control it? Besides, I really thought that my aunt would not be able to come back, and my cousin don't you know the situation of the family at that time? If aunt is fine, who would do those superfluous things? Then you have the ability to go to your aunt and say these things as a last resort. Let's see what aunt's attitude is. Oh, if you want me to say, you'd better clamp your tails, stop jumping up and down, and then expect your cousin to come back quickly, and in those things it is best not to interfere with you, otherwise you will be blessed." After the man finished speaking, he threw off the hand that was on her arm, turned and walked away. He was trampled by the rest of the female cultivators. When he turned his head, he found that there was a cultivator standing beside him. Unable to see through the other party's cultivation, he immediately blushed with embarrassment and ran in the other direction. Guyao took a step and saw the backs of the two female monks on the left and the right. He didn't expect to meet Brother Yes outsiders here. Even though there were only a few lines of dialogue, it could be heard that they belonged to the Qi family, and they belonged to 2 clans. What I also didn't expect was that the Qi family was divided into 2 factions when it came to dealing with Qi Changjai and Kai's mother. In the days when Kai's mother was not there, some members of the Qi family fell to Zhongzheyu's side, thinking that they had learned about Qi mother's temperament. Needless to say, Mother Qi is definitely disgusting towards this part of the clan. When Big Brother Ye was killed and fell into the space crack, maybe there was the intervention of the Qi family. Guyao frowned, not thinking that the female cultivator was useless before, and said that sentence out of thin air. His consciousness noticed that another female cultivator's eyes flashed a trace of discomfort and annoyance when she heard this sentence. "If you didn't intervene, you probably knew it?" Guyao can imagine the reason why this Qi family will fall to Zhongzheyu, because they need a backing, and they must have Zhongzheyu's support. That clan has a high status in the family these years, and has the right to speak, everything. But driven by profit. Being able to understand doesn't mean that he will forgive, and Guyao himself can't accept such a clan, who is not good, but he has the surname Zhong, and he sends a woman to him, waiting for Qi Mu and Qi Changjai to take the throne. When protecting the family, how can it be possible to protect this clan? Guyao put the book back on the shelf. There is a lot of time to read these books in the future. It is more important to go to see Mother Qi. Su Chen asked curiously, "How do you want to meet?" Guyao said, "I thought about it, it's better to just go to the door directly, otherwise I'm worried that something will happen if I drag it down,
and my aunt can help to find the whereabouts of brother Ye and my uncle in private. The messenger didn't respond all the time, Gu Yao couldn't let it go, and his favorite book, Jade Slip, couldn't keep his heart. As long as he comes back late at night, he can spend a lot of time here. The exit and the entrance are the same place. Gu Yao saw that senior still guarding here, but this time he closed his eyes and dozed, and there was a loud voice. Gu Yao didn't make a sound to disturb each other. He bowed and left. Out. He first returned to his cave, and just after falling from the air, two cultivators who were handymen arranged by Cao Songbei came up to greet him and reported that Cao Danji had sent his disciples to look for it. Gu Yao nodded, "Don't worry, I'm going to go out soon. Before I go out, I will snort with Danji Cao. You can do your own thing." The two handymen are responsible for the chores on the top of the mountain, such as taking care of the spiritual fields and spiritual trees here, and receiving the monks who come and go. Someone else to touch. After all, the area of this mountain is not small, and it is impossible for Gu Yao to spend time on these trivial tasks. The two miscellaneous disciples are both base-building cultivators, and they were very ambitious when they first came here. However, if they were able to get close to the 6th grade alchemist, I believe the Jindan cultivators would also be rushing to come. The disciples who handle the chores will do, and the two foundation building cultivators will not be able to do so. Gu Yao, who returned to the cave, specially changed his robe. It was his uncle who ordered Fenjian Pavilion to put it into his storage ring. Gu Yao took a look at the water mirror. He rarely wears such a belt. Wearing a gorgeous brocade robe makes him look like a noble boy with red lips and white teeth. He is always comfortable and comfortable. Seeing himself in the water mirror was a little uncomfortable. Gu Yao quickly waved his hand away from the water mirror, a little nervous, but he still had to go. He puffed up to himself, then walked out with his chest held high. "Senior brother Cao, did you send someone to find me before?" After the communication, Gu Yao walked into the hall where Cao Songbei was located. Cao Songbei was a steward of Dangxia Peak, who was in charge of the external medicine business. Cao Songbei saw Gu Yao's dressing up, his eyes lit up, and he said with a smile, "A senior brother wanted to see you before, but it doesn't matter, there will be opportunities in the future. Is Master Gu going out?" Gu Yao nodded, "I want to go to Fufeng to visit Senior Qi." "Senior Qi?" Cao Songbei was taken aback, "Could it be Qi? Junior sister? This age is not right."